The God of High School is a series that looks like it's simultaneously one of the most generic and also interesting shonen series to come out in recent years. A pretty straightforward martial arts tournament affair where kids use their different fighting styles to pound each other into the mat for the entertainment of the masses already sounds like something you'd pay big money for in real life. But why is this series doing so well? Rocketing up to the top 400 on my anime list and carrying a solid 7.5 out of 10 rating? But more importantly, should you be watching The God of High School? I've been hooked on shonen battle anime just about my entire life, growing up in the 90s and remembering the ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z airing on television, watching and later reading all of the Big 3 series when they were at the height of their popularity, and even still checking out the newer generations coming up in Weekly Shonen Jump, like Kimetsu no Yaiba and such. I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur, but I'm well versed in the cesspit, if you know what I mean. So I find it interesting that the Japanese market is shifting away from these superpowered battle shows, when there's still such a strong market for them, as evidenced by the recent success of the Korean webtoon series getting anime adaptations with Tower of God and The God of High School. That's not saying Japan can do it better, as I think the new wave is breathing some fresh air into the genre. The series stars our protagonist and his two friends, Jin Mori, an absurdly strong high school student shown to be already beyond human understanding by, chasing down a motorcycle on a pedal bike in the opening bit. Now that I think about it, he follows the usual shonen tropes to the letter. A goofy slacker who's obsessed with food and always looking for a good fight. If that reminds you of anyone, join the club and take your pick. Backing him up are his two friends he met during that chase scene, Han and Yu, both fitting other standard tropes like the cool-headed glue who grounds the whole team, and the token girl who won't be left in the dust. Again, take your pick. That sounds like it's a mark against this series, commenting how stereotypical the cast is, but these are archetypes treading on cliché, not necessarily negatives. Just because it's been done before doesn't mean it can't be done well. And with Jin's excitement permeating his more badass scenes, he comes across as someone who lives for the fight, more so than, say, Goku or Luffy. He's not someone who just says he likes to fight and then they get serious, but grins and smirks as he throws these blows. His personality comes across in the fight scenes and choreography quite a bit, and I feel that. Motivations for the cast are what elevate them beyond their molds. Han wanting to save his dying friend for him only to realize his friend circle's grown without him realizing and now striving to protect them too. Or Yu, looking to revitalize her father's Kundo school by finding a successor to keep it alive, realizing that with her skill and power, she may need to take that mantle on herself. So we see why they're in the competition, with the prize being whatever they wish will come true. That sets the groundwork for the entire series. A tournament that's going to test the high schoolers to see who's the strongest, with a background behind that being a deeper mythos about gods, demons, and other extra-dimensional entities lending their power to humans for the sake of combat. In this day and age, you didn't think this was just your standard punching and kicking show, did you? When we have people who can breathe super good to kill vampires and energy blasts being launched left and right, there needs to be more spectacle to this than pure martial arts. So enter the main plot that's been running in the background this entire time about the purpose of the tournament is to find people who are super strong, get them to unlock this god power, and find a key that will do something else. Something vague. Look, you need bait for season 2. There's also a church in there that's trying to find the key before the God of High School people do, because they think their god is better than any others. Cool. Antagonists. Just what this series needed. And that point alone, the bare-bones story that's there just to loosely string these fights together, works as a framing device to deliver the action. I don't fault it for that. The lore with the gods and heroes lending their power to these kids adds a neat element too. But ultimately, the story just doesn't really have any momentum to carry itself forward. The tournament doesn't progress the plot much, as the actors for the key thing are the church and the administrators for the tournament. The kids fighting are mostly oblivious, which sort of feels like they lack any agency in a story that's supposedly centered around them, And that is something I have issue with, since it comes across as just events happening around these people and them reacting to it, rather than doing anything to prevent, interact with, or even be aware of said events. If the main cast knew about the key and what it did before, maybe it would carry more narrative weight than a MacGuffin, but that's just one asshole's opinion. And that's really not what people are watching this series for in the first place. For a show like this, one where the plot doesn't really matter because the tournament is the main focus, meaning the fights are what's keeping the audience there, animation is probably the biggest factor. And while MAPPA as a studio has a checkered history of delivering consistent products, this was one they went all out on, bringing a visually stunning package. The camera work in these scenes shows a masterful understanding of space. The pacing is spot on, and the kinetic energy behind these hits is almost physically felt. It's rare to see an anime not rely on the ground cracking or shattering from blows, but hits in this one know how to show destructive force without just showing debris flying. That's something I can greatly appreciate. These will be easily shared on YouTube at a later date. In brief, if you're looking for a show that's almost entirely spectacle with barely engaging substance as character arcs peter out after a few episodes, and the main storyline doesn't really come together until the end, but the action is top-notch, The God of High School is right up your alley, as it shows a deep understanding of how to handle fights well. If there's an anime I'll recommend people to grab just for the action this season, it's this one. Check it out, because I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and do all the other YouTube stuff to help the channel grow. You can also join my Discord with the link down in the description. If you really want to support me, you can head on over to my Patreon to pick up some extra perks, like voting on what I do next. Thanks for watching.